Hey, it's Joe Crump. Here's another video, another question. This one is on outsourcing, and the question is, what job should I outsource first, and why? Here's my opinion, and everybody has their own thing because they do it differently, but the way that I teach my mentor students and the way we do it, and we do it for a very specific reason, because of the ease, how easy it is to outsource the ones we outsource first. We want to take the ones that are easiest, get them off the plate, off our plate, into somebody else's hands, and we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to do too much training. It's pretty easy to do. And the very first thing that we outsource normally is our boots on the ground. Usually these are people, if we're not working in an area, or even if we are, if I'm working out of the state, then I have to have boots on the ground. If I'm working in the city, I can go see the sellers myself. I can show the properties myself. I prefer not to do that, so I'd prefer to have somebody who goes out, puts the sign in the yard, puts the lockbox in the front door, takes pictures of the house, delivers the paperwork if necessary. I can pay that person typically $10 an hour to do that work, probably $8 an hour. But I prefer to pay a little bit more, $10 or $12 an hour. I think it makes more sense to have somebody who's going to be more reliable, has their own car, spends money on their own gas to drive out to the property and take care of this business for you. This is an easy person to get just by putting a Craigslist ad, in the gigs section of Craigslist. The second person that you want to outsource is your admin person. This is somebody who you can have to set up your auto marketer and make sure that it's running every week, that the new leads are added every week, and that as you have new leads and you're using the CRM is a contact relationship management software that's inside the auto marketer that helps you keep track of your leads, make sure you're doing proper phone follow-up in addition to the automated follow-up, which it also does. But it reminds you, okay, I've called this person, I'm going to put a note in here after I get off the phone with them that they need to be called 3 days from now, or they need to be called a week from now, or they need to be called a month from now, depending on what the conversation sounds like and what that person needs. So that's the second person you do. And if you're the one making the calls to these sellers, you can then put a note in the CRM and they'll take care of it for you. But you can also have your admin person looking at these things and saying, okay, that's you haven't called these people, and these people, here I'm going to tag these for you. Joe, go make those calls. And they can keep you on track to get that stuff done. They can also help you make sure that your ads are running in Craigslist. They can make sure all the buyers are being followed up on. As you get new properties, you're going to get buyers that are looking at all those properties. And as you do that, you want to make sure they're all followed up on. And the less that you're doing yourself, the more you need somebody who's looking at these leads and making sure that they're getting followed up on. Otherwise, you're going to be trusting just the person who's doing that work, and that's not always a good thing. You want to make sure that there's checks and balances in your outsourcing so that everybody's job relies on everybody else. Or at least one person has he has to do a job that this person needs in order for this person to do his job. That way, if this guy doesn't do his job, we find out about it from this guy over here. If this guy is completely autonomous and he has no, everything that he does is self-contained and it doesn't affect anybody else's job, then it could go months or a long, long time before we find out that he's not doing his work. If we have somebody over here who counts on getting this information from this guy on this day, then we immediately find out about it the next day. So that helps us get rid of people that aren't performing or not doing their work. You have to learn how to get rid of people that don't do their job. You have to hire fast and you have to fire fast in this situation. Now, I don't fire people just because they're late one day or don't do something one day. Be patient and be humane, but also don't be taken advantage of. Don't let them not do the work. If they're doing a good job, you can be a little more patient with them than somebody who's not doing a good job and wasting your time. So, keep that stuff in mind. The next person that you're going to outsource, so now you've outsourced the boots on the ground, you've outsourced the admin person. Those are easy tasks to train. The admin person can be trained simply by the material in the auto marketer itself. There's training to show them how to use the system, and you can tell them where to find that and give them access to it. The next person is the buyer finder. This is somebody who's going to go after finding a buyer for you. So they're going to run ads in Craigslist. They're going to run ads on Postlets, which is now owned by Zillow, and it's going to put it on Trulia and Zillow and HotPads, I believe, and a couple of other places. It aggregates the ad into multiple websites that sell properties. And when calls come in from that, and they come in from the sign from the front yard of the house, those people need to be, we need to take their messages right away. We need to find out if they are interested in the property, if they qualify to buy the property, get them into the property, show the property through a lockbox instead of having somebody go over there. If it's a vacant property, if it's occupied, then we have to have somebody show up there, and that's what the boots on the ground guy is for. And the buyer finder, all he does is talks on the phone with buyers, make sure they're qualified, gets them into the property, sells them on the idea of buying that property. He doesn't have to go into the property, he never has to talk to the seller, doesn't have to do any of that stuff. What he will do is once a week, he'll put together a little sheet of how many people he talked to and what they said and what kind of comments they're saying. They say it's overpriced, all those types of things. He gives that to the admin person. The admin person sends it to the seller to make sure the seller knows that we're actually doing what we're supposed to be doing to try to get it sold. Also, that kind of feedback will help us get the seller, if we're not selling it, help to get the seller to drop his monthly payment, because the monthly payment is the most important thing on a lease option. If it's overpriced, then it won't sell at all. And so if it is priced properly and you're using the marketing techniques that I teach in order to sell the property to find buyers, then it's going to sell in 30 days. If it's not sold in 30 days, that means your monthly payment is 99% of the time, it's your monthly payment that's overpriced. You can overprice the property, but not the monthly payment. The last one that you're going to outsource is the seller calls. Seller calls are the hardest thing to outsource, and it takes a lot more training, it takes a lot more skill. The way we do it is in a two-step process. We have them, when they first start, we just ask them you give them a list of questions, and we've got the two-step process in the auto marketer. So the lead sheet in the auto marketer has the questions on it that they need to ask. They go in and ask those questions, they fill in the form, and they find out if that person is interested in doing a lease option and is serious about it and understands it. And they kind of explain how lease options work. And then they say, my boss is going to give you a call, and he's going to make an offer. He's going to make two offers to you. He's going to make a terms offer. He's going to make a cash offer. And remember, we make money buying properties two ways. Substantially under market value. So if we're making a cash offer, it's going to be really low. Or on terms, which could be a lease option, or it could be any of the other zero-down hierarchy structures that I teach. So that first person is going to be making the call, and then you're going to be calling the second time, at least for a while. But it means that first person, they may be calling 10 people or 20 people, and you're calling one person instead of you calling those 10 or 20 people. They can't convert on the same level that you'll be able to, because you're going to have practiced this. You're going to get good at it over time. And eventually they're going to get good at it too. So if you keep them a month or 2 months or 6 months, eventually they're going to be able to start closing these deals themselves. And that's when you can completely outsource this part of it. This is the last thing you want to outsource, and I'm going to guess that it's going to take you 3, 4, 6 months, maybe a year before you get to the point where you can start outsourcing these tasks. And some of you won't even want to do that, because there's a certain amount of pleasure that you get out of making offers and being a transaction engineer, I guess is what I've heard it called before. If you do that, where you're thinking about each deal and how you can maximize each deal, that's kind of a fun job, and you may not want to outsource it. But if you want to really do very little in your business and just oversee everything, it's all outsourceable. You can extract yourself from the business and really not do very much at all. Anyway, those are the layers of outsourcing that we're using currently, and the way I would suggest that you outsource your business so you get rid of all those tasks. Remember, the first thing you do in your business is automate everything. Get automation that covers as much of your stuff as possible. There are certain things that are not necessary once you automate everything and you realize, okay, I can get rid of this, get rid of the junk, get rid of the wasted stuff and the wasted time. I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that, I don't need to do this due diligence. All those things that you don't need, get rid of them. And then all the things that you can't automate or get rid of, eliminate, that's what you want to outsource. And that's what this list that I just gave you is all about. Anyway, I hope that helps.